And here we are with Mr. Fletcher himself. How you doing, my friend?
Yeah, I'm not too bad. Thanks for having us on.
Always a pleasure, mate. Always a pleasure. Now, off the bat, Cage Warriors tear. But one thing I liked about it the most, so our mutual friend, Mr. Lee Mitchell, he spoke to you after the fight and he says, very highly of you, gentlemen in there, actual sportsman again. I love to see it, especially in this day and age of people making loads of noise. Off the bat, to hear literally an opponent speak highly of yourself as the way you carry yourself, that's what we like to hear. So first and foremost, big nod for that. And also congratulations on your performance over Michelle Martignoni, a very game, very seasoned fighter. How are you feeling now post post double victories?
I feel good. I've put on a bit of weight. I don't know if you can see my cheeks are a little bit fatter than they were
Don't
the other
worry,
week.
it's all good.
Yeah, well, a bit more than hydrated, to be honest. I've been eating a bit of shit the last week. But yeah, that's nice of Lee to say. I didn't know you were mates with Lee. But yeah, a lot of respect to him. I knew Lee before I fought him. So I met him when I fought in Colchester on my pro debut. And I spoke to him there at the show and he was dead sound. And obviously I'd watched him before that because around the time I was fighting amateur, he was doing really well. He was fighting flyweight then, I was bantam, but I always thought that maybe at some point I might end up having to fight him. But he was dead sound. And then obviously, yeah, we ended up getting matched with each other. And I don't really like fighting people that I get on with. I mean, it's not an issue. Obviously, I can still go in there and do it, but it was a little bit weird having to go and compete against him after like I'd been messaging him loads on Instagram and we were off like good mates, you know what I mean? So it was a bit weird, that one. I'm glad that it's like over and done with now, that. But yeah, Lee's a sound lad.
This is where it gets really interesting when it comes to the sports side of fighting, because again, it's almost polar opposite. Because in fighting is a very sort of primal thing. It's very much, some people have to really get angry and hate the opponent. Some people are composed. It's a sport. Some people are martial artists, what the fuck that means. But what is your kind of approach when it comes to fighting? Do you have to get some sort of visualization of them being, I don't know, them being an enemy? Is it a sport to you? How do you find these kind of, I don't know, the fights as such?
Each fight's different. Like, with to be honest with you, I think I perform better when I've got a little bit of not anger towards my opponent, but this last kid, like the weigh-ins were very we kind of got in each other's face. There was no, I did shake his hand at the weigh-in, but we didn't communicate at all before the fight. It was very like sort of cold, and I think I prefer that because I go in there a little bit more intense when it's like that. Whenever I fight people, so like I fought Johan Segas, who like come over from France. I didn't really know much about him, so it was a bit of like an unknown. So I think I kind of performed better in those scenarios than when, for example, when I fought Lee, I wasn't going to go in and be a dickhead to him because we'd spoke for months before. So I'd just be being fake if I was, trying to front him at the weigh-ins and stuff. So that kind of, I mean, competitively, I was still 100% there, but just in terms of like a little bit of maybe killer instinct and like intensity, I think I lacked that a little bit in the Lee fight. And that's just because like getting in the cage, looking across from him, I didn't have the same emotions that I'd have getting in across from someone who I don't really know, I don't really respect. So I'd say, it's definitely a sport and all that. A lot of respect gets shown after the fight. But when I'm getting in there, I prefer to be a little bit more intense and a little bit more angry towards my opponent. I think it helps me perform better anyway.
Oh, 100%. Again, it's a very personal thing when you know the person. Again, especially with someone like Michelle Martignoni, a very sound guy, but that language barrier almost helps you in that side of things. Because again, it's not this guy who's got a family, who's got all this, that. No, it's just an opponent. It's just this guy there. I've got to fight him. It's like when you're sparring
Literally,
hard. It's like your mates in the gym think, I kind of want to hurt you. I kind of don't. I don't really know where I am right now. You know what I mean? It's
exactly, yeah.
Now,
yeah, it's a lot different in the cage than it is. Obviously, in sparring, you can go hard, but then there's a certain level of they're all your mates, aren't they, in the gym? So you don't try to take their head off. But then when you're in the cage, and like you say, when you're fighting someone like Michelle, who I didn't know anything about, do you know what I mean? He mean nothing to me before the fight. So there's definitely a bit more of that killer instinct there then.
Oh, 100%. And speaking about guys you're sparring with, obviously, Paddy Pimblett recently signed to the UFC, a lot of guys there, a lot of experience there as well. And now the nature of you being the prospect in the gym, I mean, 5-0 now, not quite a prospect still, you're now experienced fighting, you're getting your own legs. How do you find finding a style when you already have a variety there? Are you finding your own? Are you trying other people's? How do you find what works for you?
Yeah, I think our gym's boss because we've got so many different styles. So every sparring round's different. We're obviously a predominantly grappling heavy gym, but then we've got like one of my main sparring partners, Connor Wilson. He's like a world karate champion. So his striking style is completely different to then. I've got another lad who I spar called Luke Riley, and he's like a high level Thai boxer. Do you know what I mean? And then you got Francis Breen, who's done a lot of amateur boxing. So his style of striking, although they're three strikers, their style of striking is all completely unique and different. And then you've got the likes of Paddy, who's just got crazy jiu-jitsu, throwing up flying submissions, hip throwing, dead good at scrambling. And then you've got someone like Liam Gittins, who's just like full on pressure in your face the whole time. So that definitely helps me become so well-rounded, because all the lads I'm sparring are completely different. Do you know what I mean? Our gym's not like you come in and you get taught it a certain way and everyone's got to do, throw your jab like this, throw your right hand like this. This is how you shoot a takedown. Everyone's got their own style. So in sparring, that just gives me a different look every single round. So it's helped me deal with anyone I'm going to face in the cage, because I've prepared for so many different styles already in the gym. And I do like to take stuff off, like, so watching at the UFC at the weekend and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? I might go in the gym on Monday and then try a couple of things that we saw working out there. So that's kind of like how I'm coming up with my own sort of style, and just trying it out in sparring, seeing what works for me. Certain things that work for Paddy might not work for me, because he's just built a little bit differently and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? So, just about trying it out in the gym and seeing what works for you.
100%. He's talking about karate style there. Which teammate was that one? I got confused. A lot of names right there.
Connor Wilson.
Connor Wilson, his name is.
Yeah.
So obviously, Conor Hignett has beaten Lee Mitchell. With that karate style in itself, I wouldn't be surprised if you guys were matched up next. Obviously, if he hasn't been signed or confirmed, obviously, don't feel the need to confirm or deny. But I think that'd be a very appropriate sparring partner anyway. And with that, with these people with certain styles, are you trying to beat them at their own game, or use your current game to beat them for what they're doing? If you see what I mean.
Bit of both. Like I'll go into certain sparring rounds with the idea of I'm going to try and strike today, because obviously if I'm sparring a good striker, that's a good time for me to try and work on my stand up. Do you know what I mean? But ultimately, I don't like to get too far away from what I'm good at. I don't want to prepare so much for an opponent where I'm so worried about his strengths. I'm trying to completely change my game around that. Do you know what I mean? I know what I'm good at, and I know when I'm going in there and doing what I'm good at best, there's not many people that can beat me at what I'm going to do. So, little bit of both, and it depends on timing wise. So now, where I'm like probably 14, 15 weeks away from fighting again, I can have a bit of like a mess around in sparring and try out different things, and do more stand up in my rounds and stuff like that. But then the closer it gets to the fight, the more I'm going to my strong suit, which is looking for the takedowns, getting on people's backs, putting a heavy pace on them, a lot of grappling and stuff like that. So it all depends really.
I mean, this is where next gen, especially, and I've heard a lot of good things from people who've trained there, people who currently train there now. And again, the style of Rimmer, the way he builds up the individual athletes instead of just building a sort of carbon copies. And it's a really interesting sort of way. Not even just your development, your understanding sort of changes as well. Like, how do you learn when you get shown a technique? Is it just drills on drills? Is it questions? Is it seeing it? How do you take in information?
Yeah, I think drilling's a big one. Just getting the muscle memory down. So, I'd say I'm like a visual learner as well. Once I get shown a technique, I can pretty much pick it up straight away. Do you know what I mean? I prefer to be shown it anyway than be talked through it. I think I'm more of a visual learner, but it's just about time on the mat, drilling it over and over again, and then trying to get it in live situations. And then we do a lot of that. We do a lot of like positional stuff as well as like specific techniques. So we'll do a lot of our rounds starting in like a bad position, starting with your back on the mat or starting turtle, and you've got to try and stand up without them getting the hooks and stuff like that, or starting on the back and looking for the finish. So a lot of positional stuff. But I think the main thing literally is like how many hours can you put in of purposeful focused training, and that's how you get better. Because drillers make killers, they say. So it's all about just drilling until it's ingrained in your head, and then when it comes to fight time, you don't even have to think. It just comes naturally, because it's a habit. Then you've drilled it so much that you just do it naturally without thinking.
There's something you said there which is really important, which I think you appreciate how important this was. It's purposeful drilling. Because again, not being autopilot, being aware of what you're doing, being present at how it feels, again, being aware of what's going on. Like, it sounds like someone who's burnt out many a time before, not really understanding what's going on, and thinks, okay, now I need to take it down a bit. Is that something you used to be quite, I don't know, guilty of?
Yeah, I mean, not particularly guilty. I'm just aware that you need to be in the moment and present when you're training. Like, it's one thing to, be gabbing to your mate, drilling the technique slow, not much realistic feel to it, or where you switched on, you're throwing a few feints before it, you're making it as fight realistic as possible. Like, you're never going to get in a fight and shoot a double leg, like chatting to him and then shoot dead slow and like turn the corner dead sloppy. Do you know what I mean? It's going to be 100 mile an hour, like twitchy, throwing a few shots before, level change, timing it right, exploding through. So when I'm drilling techniques, I always try and make it as like fight realistic as possible and at fight pace, because you're going to get well more out of that than you are doing it dead slow. So yeah, I think that's important, the purposeful bit. I'm glad you picked up on that, because that's what I was trying to put across. That's definitely important. It's not just about the hours, it's about the purposeful, like, intense time that you can get in drilling. Definitely.
It's quality and quantity, because you hear a lot of people who will train all the time, more than everyone else, but they're so burnt out, they're not listening, they're not taking it in, they're injured, can't roll properly. And again, like, regards of your training and recovery, what is your usual split between like hard sessions, and how do you sort of structure your training anyway?
So so I spar twice a week normally. I'll do a bigger glove sparring day, which is like a little bit harder shots and stuff like that, a little bit more fight speed. And then on the second sparring day, we'll put the little gloves on, and it's more like touching it in on the feet, a lot more of a grappling focus. I do strength and conditioning 3 times a week, so a lot of fitness, because I think fitness is a massive part of fighting. A lot of fighters can look brilliant in the first round, come out in the second and third, and they've just got no gas tank, and that's what loses them the fight. So I've got a big emphasis on my fitness in my training. And then other than that, the other days we do just like, we'll do one striking class of the morning and one more grappling focused class. So I'll do that every other day that I'm not sparring. And then at the minute, it's a bit different because the gyms aren't open over night time. So we're only able to get in the morning and train with like the elite athletes. But when the nighttime classes are back on and the gym's fully open, I'll be going in and doing jiu-jitsu every night as well. Because we've got a boss jits program, loads of people who come in just from like the general public and that, who aren't fighters, but they're like brown belts, black belts, proper high level jiu-jitsu guys. So I like to get in with them every day as well, because that's just sharpening up my jits. And if you can hang with them who are just solely doing jits all the time, when it gets into the MMA, you realize like the level difference. Some of the level of jiu-jitsu in the MMA is completely different to like what these just solely jiu-jitsu guys are. Do you know what I mean? So do a lot of that. And then in terms of recovery, like I was enjoying getting saunas and stuff when all the gyms were open, and doing a bit of hot yoga, stuff like that. But again, at the minute, none of that's open. Do you know what I mean? So I'm just trying to do my own thing at home. So I do a lot of stretching. I've got an app called GoWad, which is like, it's more for CrossFitters, but like a lot of my strength and conditioning that I do is CrossFit style training. So I got that, and that's just all like mobility and stretching. So I try and do like half an hour of that of an evening, and then ice baths and stuff like that here and there, hot baths with Epsom salt, stuff like that for recovery. A big one's sleep as well. I've got like a boss sleeping routine now. I used to be, staying up to like 1 a.m, 2 a.m, eating shit, not getting the best night's sleep, then waking up, getting out of bed and getting straight in the gym. Whereas now I make sure I'm in bed like before 11, get a good night's sleep, off my phone an hour before bed, then wake up nice and early, have a cold shower, get a good bit of breakfast in me. So I'm just like already awake and starting to feel good before I go into the gym. I think that's a big one, getting like 8.5, 9 hours sleep most nights now. So that's massive for recovery as well.
So much in that. There's so many things I want to go into with this as well. And again, sleep, I work backwards, but sleep is something that's so under prioritized. There's a book called, I think Why We Sleep by Matthew Walker. And again, it's so interesting. Like you're saying there, it's like the best recovery you can get, and it's completely free. And again, you prioritize the quality and the depth of it in levels, absolute levels. But one thing you said there about your strength and conditioning, is it quite burnout based? Is it intensity? Because again, a lot of fighters will say they get their fight conditioning from the sparring, and their strength work, accessory work from strength conditioning. What is your split like that regards to your strength and conditioning? What's the main emphasis then?
Main emphasis, again, varies on time frame. So at the minute, I'm kind of doing like a bit of a strength block, just looking to put on some strength. And then the closer we get to the fight, the workouts become more about like dealing with lactic acid. So a lot of conditioning side of it more so than the strength. So it'll be like, a lot of the ergs, like assault bikes, ski ergs, rowers, running. And then I do a lot of CrossFit style workouts. So we kind of hit everything in that. Like you're hitting plyometric stuff where you're doing box jumps, you're hitting explosive movements, you're doing slam balls, stuff like that. You've got coordination in there from doing stuff like double unders, wall balls. I just think CrossFit emulates the feeling of a fight so well for your conditioning. So like a lot of people will work on the strength separately, and then they might go into like a power phase and then like speed before the fight. But I just think, why wouldn't you hit all that together in one workout and do it whilst you're fatigued? Because in a fight, there's so much lactic acid that goes into your muscles. Especially if you're like a grappler like me, your arms blow up after the first round. You start to get tired. Your grip starts going. And if you watch my last fight, I wrestled for 15 minutes and then still managed to finish rear naked. That was squeezing for like a minute on in the last round. And that's just down to being able to deal with that fatigue and flush out the lactic acid and like keep going and keep pushing later on in the rounds. I think that's down to the CrossFit style of training that I do. So yeah, I think there's a lot of like taboo around CrossFit. A lot of people aren't, a lot of strength and conditioning experts, they aren't really into it because you think, oh, you could get injured or it's not the best for fighting. But I bet anyone who's done it properly and done, a proper CrossFit, they'd realize how beneficial it can be. Do you know what I mean? I've never felt fitter than since I've started doing that. So, and I definitely now wouldn't want to take a fight without having like a good 6-week training camp of getting all my CrossFit sessions in as well.
I mean, this is the people who say CrossFit is a problem. I mean, CrossFit's a very huge spectrum. Like you forget the juice edge, you forget the kipping, all this kind of stuff. Again, it's sort of a stigma, but realistically, it's different principles of normal training, like the fartlek stuff. Again, the different planning, interval stuff. Call it what you want. But again, I like a lot of what you're saying there with the muscle endurance based stuff. Because again, my strength coach Adam Hale, he's very good for that kind of thing. Because again, it's not just the gas tank, but again, like you said, the fatigue. Because when you're squeezing, keeping that pressure on, again, it's different chains working together. You just fatigue. But if you don't feel like lead in your arms, think, you know what, I'm all right now. It's trying to be able to flush that out. But regards of somebody said there, the intensity of that, like what's your sort of RPEs for these sort of things? How hard are you going with these sessions? Because are you training the same day as your strength and conditioning then? Or is that a separate day? Because again, that fatigue must, I don't know, be a bit detrimental, surely.
Yeah, I train of it. So I'll do strength conditioning 3 times a week and I'll do probably 2 MMA sessions on those days as well. And I think at first someone getting in straight into that, it could like push you into overtraining a little bit, but I've kind of built up a tolerance to that now. And like my volume of training, I think I'm at like a perfect level where I'm just not overdoing it, but I'm pushing just enough to where I'm getting the most out of it. And again, that's down to recovery. If you can recover well and utilize your sleep, ice baths, hot baths, stretching, eating the right foods, then the next day I feel good to go and push again. One thing I want to get into is I've not got like a heart rate monitor or anything like that, or, I'm not sure which one to go because there's Whoop bands, there's Garmin, stuff like that. A lot of them are too big to wear during your fight training. Do you know what I mean? I won't be able to wear a big Garmin watch whilst I'm rolling. So I need to look into getting something like that, just to, because I go off how I feel a lot. If I wake up and feel like a piece of shit, maybe I'll ease off that day. But it would be good to just be tracking, heart rate variability and stuff like that. I know a lot of fighters are doing that nowadays, just to seeing if you should be putting it in or if you should just have a lighter day. But again, I think then another thing is, even if you are slightly overtraining, I think the mental edge that you get from being able to dig deep, even when you feel like shit, I think that half outweighs the negative effects of overtraining. I think mentality is the biggest thing in fighting. And if you can push through a day when you feel like a piece of shit, then I think the benefits you get from that probably are going to outweigh the detriments of overtraining a bit. Another thing is, this last camp, I was taking Saturday and Sunday off fully. So I was training hard for 5 days and then I was having the weekend to recover. And I felt that was like really beneficial because coming into Monday, I felt completely fresh, ready to go again. So even if towards the end of the week, like on my 3rd S&C session, I've done my 2 sparrings, I might be feeling a little bit fatigued, but I get that Saturday and Sunday to rest. And then come Monday morning, I felt good again, ready to go.
So much in that. Where do I start? Okay, let's have a think.
Sorry, I'm just rambling.
No. Feel free to just keep going. It was beautiful. It's a conversation. It's not an interview. I love it. But let me try and catch you up. So one thing with the heart rates and things, I've seen people use the chest bands. People seem to get that a lot of benefit out of that. And again, I like the way you've sort of explained this because what you've said there is your nutrition's on point, your sleep's on point. And again, a lot of people seem to jump on supplements, heart rate, all these different metrics, but their core of what they're doing isn't aligned. So that point's kind of irrelevant. So the consistency makes that work. So I like the way you're going in that sort of approach. And again, I think Whoop bands are good for variance, whereas the chest plate are more peak heart rate at different stages. And again, if you're one for journaling, that'd be a good one to really use. One thing you said there about the resting on the weekends, there's something with that I already want to go into, is more when you're resting, are you even thinking about the fight at all? Or are you completely switching off? Because the mental rest is sort of another stage of this whole thing anyway.
Yeah. That's probably one area I could improve. I do struggle to switch off. Even on a weekend, like I'll just sit and watch fights pretty much all day and try and pick up little bits of technique and then watch my opponent. I think that's an area that I could do with maybe putting a bit more time into just, the thing is, I don't really have much hobbies outside of fighting. Do you know what I mean? So a lot of like my weekend, and I mean mates as well. My best mate Alex, who's like proper into CrossFit. I just see him every weekend, and then all we'll speak about is training. Do you know what I mean? So that's one area I could probably improve. Yeah, I don't think I do switch off enough. But now, for example, like after I've just fought, I haven't really thought too much about my next fight yet. I'm starting to get back into training and ease myself back in, because I know obviously I've got to have a little bit of a deload before I peak back up again before June. So the last week or two, I've been like just enjoying myself and eating, but still watch the UFC at the weekend, and I'm still already starting to eye up opponents and stuff like that for June. But yeah,
I mean, you need to get Warzone. I think we can get some duos going. That will keep you busy on the weekends, if nothing else. But there is something
you know
to that,
what?
though.
I'm terrible. I've never, like, since about year 9, I haven't played an Xbox, because I used to share one with my brother, and he used to hog it all the time. So every time I had to go, I was shit, and then he'd just take it back off me, the remote. So I've not played games since literally I was in like year 9 in school.
Oh, don't worry, you can catch up. It's fine. I'll help you out. I say help you out.
God.
I'll look worse, so then you can look better. So it's fine. You know what I mean? You sort of pad it out
Oh,
quite
I
nicely.
appreciate that.
Get the journeyman
Is right.
rounds in. That's it. Pad the record out. But pad the KD.
Yeah.
Love to see it.
I'll have to do that, defo.
But one thing you sort of said there about, again, there's something with this. So again, switching off mentally, but also doing what you love, because you don't do this because it's, it pays well and you love it. It's because it's a passion. It's something gets you out of bed in the morning. You want to do it. And chatting to your mate about CrossFit and training and stuff, there's a conversation. It's not just, oh shit, I'm angry, I don't want to do this, I'm not doing enough. No, it's, oh, I love doing that. Oh, I enjoy doing this. Again, it's a very different tone for the same conversation. And I like that a lot.
Definitely.
And regards of how you manage general fight anxiety, obviously leading up and preparation, are you more of a worrier, sort of I'm not doing enough? Is it more excitement like it's Christmas coming up? What is your build up like mentally?
I think there's a lot of emotions that go on in a fight camp. There's a lot of ups and downs. There's days where you leave the gym feeling like you're the man and like you're going to absolutely go and smoke your opponent and no one can touch you. And then you have those bad days and you feel like a piece of shit and you think, why am I doing this again? But I think it's just being aware of all your thoughts and knowing, like, I've had enough fights now to know that it's like a roller coaster. Do you know what I mean? There's weeks where you feel boss and there's just some weeks where you're getting fucked in the gym. It just is what it is. That's part of it. So I don't really worry too much about how I'm feeling. I trust that everything I'm doing is right because it's paid off in every other fight. Do you know what I mean? I've had, I think, 12 fights now across amateur and pro, and I've only lost one of them. And even that fight I was doing pretty good in, and was on the way to winning until I got fatigued and gassed out. And that's why I've started putting more emphasis on my strength conditioning since that fight. So I trust that what I'm doing is right. I trust my coaches, I trust all my training partners, and they're constantly telling me how I'm getting on and that I'm doing the right things and stuff like that. So I think you've just got to have a positive attitude about it all and try not to, when you do have those bad days, just don't let it affect you too much and just know that it's part of the process. And then when it comes around to fight week, I always start feeling good. And when you're hitting pads in the back, you always feel sharper than you've ever felt because you're ready to go out. You've got that little bit of adrenaline going. And yeah, I just trust the process now. And I know that what I'm doing is going to pay off.
I mean, this is the thing, especially where you're at now. So you've got Fisher, you've got Paddy, you've got Molly as well. People in the UFC doing the same things you're doing. So seeing that must give you so much more confidence. Because again, if you were the only person at pro level in your gym, you think, okay, am I doing the right thing? Is this, that, and the other? But seeing the people who've already made that pathway, you think, do you know what? Can't be too far wrong. But one thing with that is when you had that loss, you said this very calm and composed that, you realized that was the issue and then you solved it and here we are now. But when it happened initially, going from undefeated to that point, how did you handle that?
Honestly, I think I handled it pretty well. It was a bit of a wake-up call in that up until that point, I did just think I was going to smoke everyone because that's what was happening so far. And I thought, I'm the man, I'm doing everything right. And then it sometimes takes a loss for you to really evaluate what you're doing and be like, actually, I'm not putting 100% into this. There's definitely other things I could be doing. And then even every fight since then, even every little win, I've looked back and assessed over like the last few weeks and thought, what could I have done better there? And there's always something to improve on. That's what's so good about MMA. There's like so many different aspects of it, whether it's your striking, your clinch, your grappling, the nutrition side of it, your strength and conditioning, your sleep and recovery. It's just never ending. There's so many things that you can constantly try and improve. And that's what I love about it, trying to like get as close to that perfect fighter that you can. Obviously, you're never going to get there. No one's ever going to be perfect. But chasing that, you never get bored because I can look back at the last fight and think, well, yeah, although I won, there's a lot of things I did wrong there. So I've got to get back in the gym and improve and work on them. But that loss was a big one, just because obviously you take it a lot more to heart off a loss than you do a win. So I had to look back at myself there and then think, what can I improve on? And the next fight I took was against like another really good amateur prospect, Kalen Lochran, who he trains at Darren Till's gym now, Carbon. Yeah, and he was like 6-1. He was like one of the top lads in Ireland. I was going over to Belfast, where he's from, to fight him. So it was good that I just got right back in there against another high-level lad to test myself. And then once I won there, I knew like, okay, yeah, I've made the right adjustments and I felt good in that fight. And then from there, after that fight, I've finished every other fight since then. So definitely doing something right now.
So you can't be going too far wrong. Now, with that in itself, again, the frequency of competition versus being out of camp and off-season sort of thing. Obviously, now being fortunate with Cage Warriors having elite status and the rest of it, you can crack on, no problem. But that gap between, how do you find that time off, and what does training look like for you instead of like usual camp prep and sort of stress?
So going back to March this year, because initially when everything locked down, when COVID first happened, obviously we weren't able to train as elite athletes. There was no sort of date in line for when Cage Warriors were going to be coming back. So at that time, where I lived, luckily me and my brother had built like a strength and conditioning gym in our garage. We had like a 2-car garage, and we basically kitted it out with like a rig, barbells, bumper plates, assault bike, rower. So from March till when Cage Warriors announced the September show, so maybe like June, and I was able to go in and train, I just did loads of strength and conditioning in ours. I was very fortunate that like a lot of fighters were like going out doing runs and shadow boxing, and I was going into my garage and doing full-on S&C sessions. So that was like sound. I stayed switched on throughout the first few months of that, and that's why I was able to get right back in and take a fight in September, which obviously I ended up testing for COVID for that one, so I didn't actually get to fight, but I was ready to go then. But in between, so for example, now I'm fighting in about 15 weeks or whatever it is, 14 weeks. So last week I literally didn't do anything. I didn't train. I went in the gym to see all the lads, but I had a week off to recover because it was a 3-round fight. So I had a few little bruises and stuff. My foot was sore off kicking in, my leg was sore off getting kicked, stuff like that. So I ate a bit of shit and just chilled out for a week. And then this week, starting to ease back into it now, back into training. And I'll probably just take it easy for a couple of weeks. Like I'll still train every day, but the intensity won't be the same. It's more going in, having a laugh, seeing the lads, doing like with my strength conditioning, doing like some, maybe longer CrossFit workouts that I wouldn't normally do, aren't very fight specific, but I enjoy doing them. Do you know what I mean? Stuff like that. So just staying active, and then when it gets to about 10 weeks away, I'll start dialing in and making sure everything's like structured again, ready leading up to the fight. And then obviously when I find out who I'm fighting, I can like get even more specific then and prepare for him. But I just train year round. I do have fight camp to say because it gets more specific, but I like I said, I don't have many other hobbies. So as soon as the fight's over, I try and get back in the gym as soon as possible and just keep ticking over and keep improving.
I love it. Going back to the gym to reap the well done. It's like, oh, nice one, mate. Pats on the back. That's what we do.
That's it, yeah.
Oh, nice one. I just thought, you walk in. Nathan Fletcher's entered the room. Oh, hi. Oh, friends see me. Oh, no, don't get pictures. No. Oh.
Taking the bows to everyone and that. Thank you.
Oh, don't worry. It's nothing. It was only a 3-round fight in a professional show in Europe. Don't worry. Oh, it's just me. Oh,
and he took out undefeated 6-0 Michelle. Yeah, nothing, light work.
Oh, who's that guy? Oh, it's Nathan again. Oh, just all right. Paddy gets on to the UFC. All right, please give me my spotlight. Fuck off.
I know, yeah. Brilliant.
But there's loads in that I love, and I like how you're saying about sort of tapering off like this far out, doing workouts you actually want to do, and again having some fun with it. Because again, like what we were saying earlier, like you don't do it because it's easy, because you love it. And again, when it comes to this, if you have that hobby, and again, like CrossFit anyway, do you follow like the CrossFit scene anyway, like world's fittest man, or what is it, world's strongest athlete, whatever it is, that sort of thing there, fittest games?
A little bit more like more so just because my mate's into it and he competes in it, Alex. So I always follow along what he's doing. He's just done like the open workouts. So every year they do like an online qualifiers type thing, and then the top 10% in each region goes on to like the next stage, and then it filters down until they have the CrossFit Games. That's like their world championships. So my mate Alex has just done it, and he's finished in the top 10% for Europe. So he's going on to the next stage now. So I always follow along what he's doing, and then when the actual world championships is on the games, I will watch them. They stream them on YouTube, so I'll watch all those events. So they do it like over the weekend, so I keep up to date with that. Are you on to Matt Fraser? Do you know who he is? Have you heard of him?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he was like the 5-time fittest guy, wasn't he? And he's just retired this year. So it'd be interesting to see who steps up now and who takes it this year. Probably be that Noah Olsen. He's like another one who always finishes near the top. But Matt was just dominating for years. He's like the Khabib of CrossFit.
CrossFit's fucking mental. For everyone who isn't aware of these sort of games, it's like if you think about a fight, you know how to prepare for a fight. With CrossFit, it's like whatever they fuck they decide. Okay, we're doing snatches and swims and stuff in the same circle. Like, how do you even train for that? Like this kind of
That's
mad
it.
shit.
Yeah.
I don't even know.
That's why you've got to prepare for everything. You've got to literally train like every aspect of fitness. And that's why I think it's so good. If you do it right and you don't, I'm not going in the gym and snatching 100k and that and try, you know what I mean, and doing mad swimming workouts, getting out and start snatching a barbell and clean and jerking. But if you take the certain aspects of it and put together like a complete workout, you hit every energy system and you hit every possible like thing that you need to perform in a fight, I think. And I just think personally, as well as sparring where you get your fitness, those CrossFit workouts emulate that feeling of a fight so well. And if you can recover in between those rounds and then go back and give it all again on the workout, I think it's such a massive advantage, especially mentally for the fight.
Well, this is the rest of it, because one thing you've sort of touched on about gassing and knowing you've gassed, there's a few things with that I love. And one is the confidence to know you can gas and recover. Because a lot of people get so scared of gassing, they don't do anything. And they've had 3 rounds of not doing anything. And okay, I'm not gassed, but I didn't win. But having that in your locker, knowing that you can push the pace like you did against Michelle, sorry, not Michelle. Michelle's my mum's name. Michelle, very different person.
Michelle, yeah.
I've got a nicer beard, don't worry. But anyway.
Your mum's called Michelle, did you say?
Yeah. That's
right.
a different person, different beard. It's fine. We'll
get
there.
I weren't fighting your mum. I was fighting the Italian Michelle.
I was going to say very different people. But one thing at a time. This is the sort of thing, having that pace, having that pressure, and that confidence to know, okay, if you're on the first round thinking, okay, I might gas and that might be my fight done, you're a very different fighter at that point. Your decisions are different. Again, like it's how your confidence changes. Again, like, you're striking with people who are better strikers than yourself. And then you get that confidence. So this person walks in thinking they're not going to be that level. I'm not going to stress. I'm not going to gas myself. I'm not going to worry about it. Obviously, there's always risks. But again, your confidence, your performance and what you put in, again, it's all what's done in the dark comes to light, doesn't it? It's really interesting.
100%. I think having that faith in your fitness is massive. Go out in a fight worrying about gassing at all now. I just know I'm going to put my game on him 100%. And that's going out there trying to implement my grappling and defending it for 3 rounds and getting back to his feet and blocking my hooks, not letting me take his back. But I was so persistent and never stopped attacking that eventually I was able to get the submission in. And do you know what? I don't know if I've told you this yet on messages, but I don't know if you've seen, like, I was absolutely fucked fight day. I had food poisoning from after the weigh-in. So I was in a bad way. I hardly ate anything fight day. Whatever I did, I just shat out on the bog, basically, to be frank with you. And so I was in a bad way. I was just trying to like sip electrolytes all day to stay hydrated. And I was still able to go in there and put a pace on him, even with like pretty much doing a weight cut, refueling, and then just shitting it all out, basically, and not having anything in me to go. But just mentally, I knew how hard I'd worked in the fight camp. So I just had faith in my fitness and still went out there and done the same thing I would have done if I was 100% fit. So
I'm going to ask you a question, man to man. Did you worry about shitting yourself in the cage?
100% I did, and I had fucking white shorts on as well.
I was going to say,
like the one fight I picked white shorts. Why? And then
with the squeeze as well. Like, it's no, like, if you jab and you can be relaxed, but like, all your cores like crunching
in. I know. Imagine. I was just thinking, don't body shot me. Imagine get full.
So
on your, that's all me mates watching.
Here is a question for you. I don't know why I'm asking this, but fuck it, we started it, so I'll finish. If you've got the body triangle, you've got the choke, but you feel you're getting a bit warm, are you doubling down or are you letting go and changing?
No, I'm finishing the fight 100%. That's the main thing, innit? I'll be squeezing. If I shit myself, It is what it is. Do you know what I mean? I deal with the embarrassment afterwards, but at least I'd still have that win. I wouldn't be letting go. No.
That's not a staple. It's not a staple question on the podcast, but it might be. Who knows? That's incredible.
Well, okay. If you're gonna shit yourself, would you keep squeezing? Yeah, you have to ask everyone that. See what they say.
There was a few things with that, with my stupid hypotheticals. One was, would you rather shit yourself in the cage or get a bone at weigh-ins? I don't know what your answer would be to that, because it's almost one happened. What about you?
One nearly happened. Yeah. That's a tough one, to be honest. I mean,
Poor Donny
The
Clue's got to,
weigh-in's not.
take a picture of it as well. You got to try, above the waist.
Yeah, but you normally cut off from your waist up on the weigh-in photos, and the weigh-ins aren't televised, so I'd probably go for the awkward boner at the weigh-in.
Okay, I'm trying to get
You never
composed.
know, that could be a psychological advantage. Your opponent might see that and think, what the fuck's going on here?
Oh, he's a big boy.
Yeah.
No, the trick is with that is when you face off with them, you just get closer and closer, and then you see their hips backing away, and it's like you win the mental battle.
Okay, hell yeah, that would be some psychological battle. That you'd have to be sick in the head to plan that. That's why I don't know if you could plan it really. It'd have to just happen.
You'd be so depleted. You'd be so depleted. How could you get the stomach to get it?
I know, thinking that after a weight cut, you'd struggle to get it up anyway. So
trying to get composed. Okay. Second stupid question. I'd say third stupid question, actually. I had this sort of idea, which is just beyond stupid, but I love it. You get sponsored swims, you pay per lap for someone to do it. My thing with this is when you walk in the cage, some people do like a lap of it.
Yeah.
A $5 a lap. How many laps are you doing? Just to keep going and see if they stop you. Just keep on going and going and going. And an extra $5 every time you fist bump your opponent, just to try and psych them out. But you just keep on going.
Every time fist bump as you come
Just keep on going. Just keep on going. Don't say a word. Like have a proper serious face on, but you're doing laps upon laps upon laps. Think, okay.
Yeah. You'd have to worry about not gassing out doing that again. But I reckon you could probably get 5 or 6 laps in. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, 5 or 6 before the ref probably grabs you and says, "Go to your corner, mate. What are you doing?" Do you know what I mean? Depends who's reffing you. Do you know what I mean? They could be announcing him. You're still doing laps around. Do you know what I mean? Running past him every time. That's a mad one.
You just keep going. Just keep on going. Again, just proper serious face or just stone face. Like, this is what I do. It's my mental preparation.
Yeah, just snarling, running past and just fist bumping him every time. Yes,
your legs just full of lead.
Yes,
all the lactic acid, all the nerves. Anyway, that's the end of the stupid question. We'll go to the serious ones. I'll let you enjoy your evening.
Go on.
Okay, composure. Love it. So you're about to walk out. This isn't we're about to shit yourself. This is you just normally know food poisoning your sweet. About to make the walk. You then walk in. You'll see yourself. What advice do you give you to make sure you perform in the best headspace possible?
So that's a good question. Let me think. What I'd probably say is,
don't shit yourself.
Well, that's a big one. Don't shit yourself, lads. That would be my first thing. And then once I've got that out the way, I think, again, like every fight's different. I think for this one, it was a lot more intense than normal. And I preferred that. Honestly, I think I fought better having that level of like, again, it wasn't really aggression. It was just like knowing I was going in there to try and hurt him. Do you know what I mean? Like, I am not an aggressive person. I do see it as a sport and I love the competitive nature of it. I love winning and being able to say I've gone in there one-on-one and beat another man. But I'm not like some dead Aggie kid who just loves having straightness. You know what I mean? Like, I don't go out in the street and fight with anyone. I'd never be like that. I'd never start beefing with someone in the street. But this one, I did get a little bit more riled up. And I don't know if that was more because I knew like the state I was in. I knew I'd had fucking a proper bad day and I probably hadn't refueled properly. So I had to get a little bit in that aggressive mindset. But I think it just depends on the opponent and the individual fighter. For me, from now on, I think I'm going to try and get a little bit more intense every time I come out because I think it helped me perform better. Get a good warm-up in. So before the Lee Mitchell fight, I literally warmed up for like 10 minutes. I didn't really do a proper... I just felt like I was good to go. I was too relaxed. I was like, I don't want to do too much. I want to save it till I get in there. And I think I started slow then. And that's why I got caught in the first round. But against Michelle, whatever his name is, I got a proper good warm-up in, a good 30 minutes. I got a good sweat going. I got my heart rate up and then calmed back down before I got in there. So I kind of got that first wind out the way. And then when I knew I was fit anyway to go, I wasn't like worried about gassing out in the warm-up. Some people don't want to do too much hitting pads because with the nerves, you start feeling tired hitting the pads because it's a little bit like new. The adrenaline's there and the nerves are there. But in this one, I got like a proper good warm-up in and got nice and intense before I went out. So I think I'm probably going to try and replicate that for my next fight and see if it goes the same way. And I might change it up after that. I'll see. But that one, I think I felt good getting into the cage. So I'll probably do that again next time.
I mean, that's a lot of advice to give yourself. I mean, what is the actual...
That's a long Saturday.
You've just said the fight's over now, I think. But
yeah, literally.
But again, having that kind of intent, again, the different attitudes. Again, I think it's a lot of what you're saying there is take away the person behind it. It's just a sport, but have that sort of malice and a bit more intent. Again, it is a sport, but again, it's having that kind of sting behind it. I like that a lot. Second, one of my favorite, most important questions. Post-win, hands raised, belt around your waist, love and life. What is in your takeaway delivery basket? What are you saying?
So I normally get, my bird always gets these big box of cakes for me. There's a girl in Southport where I live, and she does them. She's called Cake Corner. You can have a look at her on Instagram if you want. She makes these proper heavy cakes.
Good plug.
And I normally get a box of them ready for when I get home. She's so busy at the minute though. This time I didn't get me cakes till Tuesday, but it actually worked out well because the food poisoning effects were still going on a bit into the Sunday and the Monday. So come Tuesday, I absolutely nailed this box of like brownies, blondies, cakes. She does this thing called cookie pie. I don't know if you ever heard anything like that. It's like a big, like, I think it's a slice of cake, but it's made out of cookie dough. And it had like white chocolate, white Kinder Bueno in, Nutella, and it was heavy. So that's normally me, like, my main treat after the fight is I get a big box of cakes, and I ordered from there. But yeah, the week after the fight, I just eat whatever, to be honest. Domino's, McDonald's, whatever. I like a McDonald's breakfast. So I'll go and nail like 5 hash browns to get a sausage egg McMuffin. Literally, this week I've had, last week even, I was getting Mackey's Breckies. I was having 5 hash browns, like, going down easy.
It's going out of fashion, love it.
Literally. So just the greasiest, fattiest food I can have. I enjoy that for a week.
Quality and quantity. Pro tip with Mackey's breakfast: you get the breakfast rolls and a hash brown. Put the hash brown in the roll.
In the breakfast roll, yeah.
Yeah.
I can imagine. I haven't done that with McDonald's, but there's this other gaff by mine called the Butcher's Kitchen, and they do burgers and everything and all that. But they do like a breakfast burger, and it's got like a beef patty, bacon, egg, hash brown, all on it. So I got a few of them last week as well, and that was heavy. And then a few extra hash browns on the side. I just love hash browns.
I was going to say,
I'm proper into hash browns. I don't know why.
Into them, like pot potato. Yeah. Just love it.
Literally, I mean,
the passion, the smile. Again, all the audio only listeners. Wow, that smile ear to ear. Love to see it. Give Mr. Fletcher.
That's what the hash browns do to me.
Sorted. Yeah. That's it.
That's it. Yeah.
What was the last question? Yeah, day one beginner walks in the gym, full of beans, wants to take over the world. What is the rule of thumb you give them to get started in the right direction?
I'd probably say just chill out, mate. It's going to take a lot longer than you think. There's a lot of people who come in and they've watched a Conor McGregor documentary or something, and they think, this is it, I'm the boy, I'm going to be the next big thing. You know, I've done a few rounds on the bag in man. I'm ready to take over. Yeah, hard as nails. I'll probably just say to them, like, try and forget about your ego. Come in as much as you can and just enjoy it and see where it goes. I don't think, like, it's a tough sport. And even thinking now, I'm only 23, I'm so early on in my career. And I think back to all the years of training I've done, all the traveling on trains to Manchester, to Bolton to do wrestling, you know, going, even traveling into Liverpool every day, starting next gen and being like the new kid there, having all the amateur fights I've had, the stupid weight cuts I've done wrong, you know, everything that I've gone through. It's such a long road to now, and I'm only 5-0. Do you know what I mean? So it takes a lot of time, and I've still got a long way to go before I'm, you know, accomplishing everything I want to accomplish. Oh, sorry, did you lose me then?
No, it's all good. It's all good.
All right.
That's to say, I like your awareness of it. I like the way you're talking about, again, what you learned now, but also appreciate how much further you still got to go as well, because that's 2 separate things. And I love the fact you got the awareness of both. And again, it's the bigger perspective, because when you're, you know, young, dumb, and want to fight everyone, you sort of, you don't know what you don't know. You think I just show up, go to the gym, have a workout, go home, and I fight someone, I win. And then, you know, I get 60 Gs from Dana, and, you know, I'm Conor McGregor, sorted. But again, they don't appreciate getting spanked by, you know, the better people, getting spanked with people you should be getting spanked by, all this sort of stuff. And again, you're traveling, the grind, the grit, the sort of self-doubts, all that kind of stuff. It's a very hard thing to, if you told yourself now, if you told you before you started, you said to yourself, okay, it's only 5-0, but to get to 5-0 at pro, I'm going to have to do X, Y, and Z, get the shit, all this kind of stuff. You're like, do you know what? Is there a football club nearby? I'll do that instead.
Literally, I probably think, oh, really? I've got to do all that? Yeah, never mind, lad, never mind. But that's just part of, like, growing with each fight. You learn a little bit more, and you, like, I'm a completely different person now to what I was when I started training. So, obviously, I was a kid when I started, so that's why. But you just grow so much, and like,
I knew what you meant. That tickled me. It's obviously I was younger. But
yeah, obviously, I'm going to be different. But
it made you taller and made you bigger.
yeah. But like, my mindset, everything's just changed so much, and the way I look at it, even fight to fight changes. So it's a long road. Do you know what I mean? And half the time, the people who make it aren't even the ones who come in the gym and like the best straight away. It's not the talented that make it. It's the ones that are still doing it 10 years down the line, still showing up. They're the ones that end up making it and becoming champions and stuff like that. I think your work ethic and your mindset are the two most important things in order to be successful in fighting. It's not all about who comes in and is dead talented straight away, because they're probably less likely to stick at it. Do you know what I mean? They don't think they need to work as hard and then they end up getting beat and then they fuck it off. But if you can just take your time, understand that it's a long journey, and just be willing to like show up every day. It helps if you love it. Like we were saying before, it's literally my main hobby is this. I don't really enjoy doing much else other than training and fighting and getting better. So that helps, that every day I'm going in the gym because I love doing it and I want to, and not because I have to. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah.
I mean, I don't know why I'm going to say this at the end, but obviously Oban Elliott calls you John Lennon, and John Lennon's got the quote of find a job you like and never work a day in your life, and that seems to have closed things up quite nicely. Look at that. Stars align.
Maybe that's why he calls me. Yeah, maybe that's why he calls me John Lennon.
As far as like nicknames and getting roasted, you've been nice there. He's done you well. I think if you're going to get called anything, I think John Lennon's a pretty good shout. I think that's pretty safe. He's done all right.
I don't know why he calls me John Lennon though. I don't look anything like John Lennon. He's got me saved in his phone. He was showing me at the trilogy. He's like, yeah, look. I said, what? Who's that? And he went, you saved as John Lennon in my phone. I was like, what the fuck? But I used to have a fringe. I used to have a fringe, maybe that's why. But I definitely don't look like John Lennon now.
I mean, is your missus called Yoko or anything?
Is what?
Is your missus called Yoko or anything?
No, not quite. No.
Well, there we are then. So, it won't be that. We'll have to find out. But anyway, my friend, thank you so much for your time. Social media, sponsors, where can people find you?
I'm at Nathan Fletcher _ on Instagram and Twitter, and I don't really use Facebook, to be honest. So they're the two that I use the most. And sponsors, I'll just say quickly, Finer Filters and Jack Harper are my two main sponsors. They've been like supporting me literally since my amateur days, and without them I wouldn't be able to train full time. Literally, they do so much for me, so thanks to them. And then just Macro Chef as well, who do all my meal preps and stuff in fight camp, so they make it a lot easier for me as well. So big thanks to them as well.
Now, guys, I say this all the time and I keep saying it, supporting the sponsors supports the fighters. Again, people can't put the hours in if it's not financially viable, and the sponsors help make that appropriate. So again, engaging, if you can't afford to buy the products, liking, sharing, again, engagement really helps show the fighters value to the sponsors. Again, normally it's quite a non-profitable thing. It's more to support the fighter, but if you can give us some sort of reimbursement to the sponsors to even sort of, engagement is definitely useful. And on that note, here's my podcast sponsors. We've got the English Hypnotist for any kind of mental development, albeit in the cage, in the business, everything like this. The conversation with Richard be game changing. Again, self-sabotage gets in the way, especially with myself. I've done a testimonial on my Instagram about this, and it's definitely game changing. Obviously, the newest sponsor, Good Performance Nutrition, a close friend of mine, Dan Good, former professional athlete. And again, it's affordable protein. It's a guy who gives a shit about the community, wants to help build people. Again, it's affordable, good quality stuff. Be sure to check them out. Fisticuffs _ podcast or social media platforms. We've got the Rashies in, we've got the Valitudos in, new shorts coming soon, and a surprise en route. So yeah, stay safe, stay happy, stay positive, stay grateful.